Hello and welcome to my review of NXT's Super Tuesday. What a catchy name. That's what it was called, right? Super Tuesday? I think so. Their show last night, anyway, with the immensely massive main event, Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match for the NXT Championship. We'll get there. I wasn't going to do a review of this show, and then I thought, I did a match simulation. I didn't do like a full prediction show, but I don't think the whole show was pre-announced. But either way, I figured, let's just do a review. I kind of kept notes during the show to an extent, not any great extent, admittedly, but kind of. So we'll see how this goes. But I enjoyed the show, and it was kind of like a special. You know, it was presented as a special. It had a really big main event. So figured, and quite a big opener, to be honest. Quite a spectacular opener, shall we say? So. Yeah, why not do a review? Let me know in the comments what you thought of this show, by the way. And as I talk, what you agree with, what you disagree with, all that fun stuff. Let's get a conversation going. So, the show started with the 6-man tag street fight. So, tornado tag, no tags required. And it was Legado del Fantasma against Breezango and Isaiah Swerve Scott. I'm not going to do blow-by-blow breakdowns of all these matches. Watch the matches. NXT is a fun product to watch, in my opinion. I would certainly recommend it if you're not giving it a watch. You're just keeping up with the results via my reviews. Give it a watch. I can't do justice to it by doing blow-by-blow. So instead, I just quickly give my thoughts and move along. So, Imperium interfered. That's the thing that happened. Because they've been having some issues with Breezango. Obviously, Breezango have just the previous week, last week, taken the tag titles off Imperium. So this was their attempt at revenge. But while they were attacking, now let me get this right. I think it was Tyler Breeze. I think that they were attacking. Fandango and Swerve Scott, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Swerve, ended up on a forklift that had been driven to ringside. With like an elevated platform. It wasn't much higher than the top rope, but it looked spectacular because it's off a forklift, not off the top rope. But in reality, it probably added about an extra foot to the jump, to the height, or maybe 2, from a usual top rope spot. But nonetheless, that was a lot of fun. Fandango and Scott jumped off the forklift, took out everyone, basically, both members of Imperium that attacked, and Legado del Fantasma. Then they went and jumped on them to the outside as well, I believe, leaving Swerve and Santos Escobar in the ring, and Swerve pinned Escobar to win the match, which, as the match was progressing, I thought they're continuing the feud with Escobar and Swerve, so it kind of makes sense that Swerve gets the win over Escobar to sort of justify, hey, I pinned you, I want another shot, kind of thing. And Escobar cheated in their match last week as well. So, all that considered, it was fairly obvious Swerve was going to pick up the win. And he did. Obvious isn't always bad, though. That just sometimes means, hey, you've put this logically, well done, So yeah, good match, a lot of fun, some mad weapon spots. I think Tyler Breeze sprayed everyone with a fire extinguisher, well, everyone on the enemy team at one point. There was the usual table spots and all that fun stuff. Check it out, a lot of fun. Definitely go give it a watch. The next thing I've got written down was Candice LeRae against Casey Catanzaro. I believe Tegan Knox might have had like a video package / promo, talking about her diminishing relationship with Candice LeRae. I don't know when in the show that was. It might have been before this match. I'm not sure. I don't feel like they went match to match, so that might have been what was in between. But anyway, Candice beat Casey, as pretty much everyone would have expected, I assume. I like Candice LeRae. I like heel Candice LeRae. I like face Candice LeRae. I think she's really good. I've seen some of her stuff from pre-NXT. She's really, really good, but she's sort of starting to grow into NXT. She was sort of being bypassed by pretty much every other woman at one point, and that was probably a bit of a travesty, but seems like they're building her now, so hopefully it's her turn. Her turn to get a decent build. After the match, she cut a promo on Tegan Knox, inviting her round to talk to her at her home, I think was the gist of it. I wasn't fully concentrating at that point. I had other stuff going on around me, but I think that's what she said, was basically come and speak to me. So we're probably going to get a Gargano's at home segment, but with Tegan Knox round and the Gargano's kind of harassing her, I would imagine. Maybe next week. I don't know. Up next, we had Timothy Thatcher against Bronson Reed. So I'm not sure exactly how this particular match came about. I know Timothy Thatcher's going after Damian Priest. He called him an embarrassment, I think, after, when he was celebrating. That might have been the segment, actually, was Damian Priest was still celebrating winning the title, wasn't he? The North American Championship, and Timothy Thatcher called him an embarrassment. So that's the next program for the North American Championship, it would seem. But in the meantime, it was Thatcher against Bronson Reed. Both guys being booked reasonably well at the moment, picking up some wins. Both lost at TakeOver 30, but both looked pretty decent in defeat. So, no big loss to momentum there. Austin Theory and Bronson Reed had got into it maybe last week or earlier in this episode. I can't quite remember, but I watched them back to back. I hadn't watched last week's NXT, so I got a few wires crossed, I think, between what happened on what week. But yeah, there was a confrontation on one of the shows between Austin Theory and Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory came down and attacked Bronson Reed while Timothy Thatcher had the referee distracted. I don't think we were meant to believe that was teamwork. I think that was just, Theory spotting an opportunity because Reed was outside the ring and Thatcher was busy with the ref. But yeah, and then obviously that led to Thatcher picking up the win. So Bronson Reed protected in defeat. Thatcher picks up the win that's necessary to get him back on track as a believable contender for the North American Championship. Because I do kind of dislike that. They do that a lot in WWE and even in NXT, where someone will lose on a pay-per-view and then be next in line for a title shot. And it's like, hang on. Why are you next in line? Kind of thing. But yeah, they're rebuilding Timothy Thatcher for that title feud. So that could be as soon as next week because they're doing another Super Tuesday, aren't they? So part 2. So maybe they'll put that on next week. I don't know. Probably not actually because they're opening with the NXT title match. So, and I don't think that's Timothy Thatcher and Damian Priest isn't a main event. I don't know. I've got to assume they'll do something with the women, maybe. Don't know, what's your main event spot if the NXT title match is going on first? Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Next was a promo. I think it was next. My orders might be a little bit messed up. In fact, they are, because I've got these two things happening back to back, and I don't think they happen back to back. Rhea Ripley challenges... Oh, that's the main event next week. I'm sure she said for next week. Rhea Ripley challenges Mercedes Martinez to a cage match, which will be a lot of fun. Keep the Robert Stone brand out. In theory, cage matches never actually prevent interference, though. So Rhea Ripley wants Mercedes Martinez. After last week, I think it was, she costed that tag match against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. I think that was last week. I don't think that was last night. And later in the show, Mercedes Martinez accepted the challenge. So I'm not sure exactly when those two promos were cut within the show, but they both happened, and that's happening, I believe, next week. I think that's going to be next week, so that'll be a lot of fun. That'll probably be the main event, to be honest. So strong bookmarks on the show next week, just like on this week. Now, speaking of, not bookmarks, bookends. Bookmarks, what am I on about? I'm tired, guys. I've just come off a night shift. So, finally, the 60-minute Iron Man Fatal 4-Way match between Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa, the 4 cornerstones of NXT, as I think, was it Adam Cole referred to them as? Or was it Finn Balor? I think it was Finn Balor in a promo this week or last. They called them the 4 cornerstones, and he's right. At the moment, they are the 4 cornerstones of NXT, definitely. So, the first sort of maybe 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, something, a fair portion of time though, Johnny Gargano stayed out of the ring on this one, which I thought was really good, like, pretty smart, heelish, smart, can't argue with his tactics there, you've got all this time, just hang around outside the ring, keep an eye out for pinfalls and submission attempts and break them up maybe, to make sure no one gets ahead of you on points, but you're not taking any of the damage, so good move by Gargano. One thing that annoyed me was them still doing ads during this match. I was like, damn, that was a wasted opportunity to give a really good experience by running it ad-free for the second hour, you know, like, and promoting it as such. That would have been really good. But they weren't directly up against AEW. They don't take Impact seriously as competition, so they had no reason to. And they don't take AEW Dark seriously as competition either, clearly. But I ran a quick Twitter poll, and more people said they were watching Dark than NXT, but I don't know how representative that is of the overall wrestling community. But yeah, I found that interesting, and no one said they were watching Impact, and I was like, really? You guys still sleeping on Impact? Like, it's okay to admit you watch Impact in 2020. It's pretty decent now. Anywho, I still need to watch that though, because I wasn't watching it either. Anywho, we had a DIY double submission spot, like when they locked the Revival in it, and the Revival held on for a long time and then eventually tapped, and it got a massive crowd pop at whichever NXT takeover that was. Yeah, they locked in the Gargano escape and whatever the hell Champa calls his armbar, I cannot remember. But it didn't result in a submission. Both guys got to the ropes, I believe, that they had the submissions on, obviously Cole and Balor. But that was a cool little throwback spot. So the first fall, I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but, you know, again, not doing play-by-play on the match, just calling the important bits, and the bits that I thought were kind of notable. So Balor got the first fall. It was about 34.5 minutes left on the clock. So what's that, 25.5 minutes in. Got a coup de grace on Adam Cole. So decent length match if it was just a single fall fatal 4-way, 25.5 minutes. That was how long it took them to get the first fall. I like that. I don't like when you get like Iron Man matches and 2 out of 3 falls matches and you get an unnaturally quick fall. Like, it annoys me because you know if that was a single fall match that they would have kicked out at 2, you know, or they would have got out of that submission. Like, I don't mind submissions as much because I feel like in a 60-minute Iron Man match, if someone locked me in a really painful submission in the first like 5 minutes, I'd just be like, yep, tap, I've got time to catch this up. I'm not sitting in this submission for a couple of minutes and taking loads of damage, you know, and getting injured. I'm tap, I'm out and back in the fight kind of thing. So I can see that, but pins, you've got no reason not to kick out. So I'm glad that the first fall went a while. That was my point, you know, that's a good thing. The second fall came 8 minutes or so later. Champa hit the Willow's Bell, his version of Randy Orton's draping DDT, which I personally prefer because he drops him right on the head instead of kind of like a flat front bump like Orton does. And then the fairy tale ending is double underhook, spinning pedigree sit down thing. He hit that on Balor. He hit both of those on Balor back to back. But then Gargano lobbed him out the ring and stole the pin and got a fall. So Balor's got a fall by pinning Cole and then been pinned for the second fall by Gargano, even though it was Champa who did all the work. So that was a fun little spot. And we're on 1-1-0-0. Then, only a couple of minutes later, I didn't get the exact amount of seconds, but there was 24 minutes and something seconds remaining when this happened. Adam Cole hit a Panama Sunrise on Gargano and pinned him. So there's a sort of pattern here where whoever got the previous fall then gets pinned for the next fall. And that would continue 2 minutes later when Tommaso Ciampa hit a double Willow's Bell on both Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, and Johnny Gargano's sell of this was excellent. He stayed in a headstand draped across the rope for the entire rest of this fall, basically. He just stayed there like he was completely out of it. You know, his sort of thighs were on the middle rope and his head was just on the mat and he was just dead weight, and it was a really, really good sell. I really enjoyed that. So anyway, Ciampa hit that. It looked cool doing 2 of those DDTs. And then he hit the fairy tale ending on Cole. But this time, Gargano was still out of it, hanging upside down off the ropes. So Ciampa got the pin on Cole, who had got the previous fall, continuing that pattern. 22 minutes and something left. I don't remember exactly how many seconds. Oh, I just want to point out here, I saw it on last week's episode when he beat up whoever that was. Oh, I know the guy's name as well, and it's just fallen out of my head. That's really annoying. Anyway, when he took out that guy with it on his return match. Who was it against? I was literally ready to say his name, and then it just fell out of my head. Anyway, Ciampa's new slingshot, where he uses the ring beam to play the role of the what they would usually use the bottom rope for. I thought that was really cool. I was like, yeah, I'm into that. That's good. Like, not mad about that at all. So, yeah, he hit that. I can't even remember who he hit it on now. I think maybe Gargano. But yeah, I just made a note that I really enjoy that spot. That's it's a good old spot. Sorry, I'm just trying to Google who the hell Champa hurt last week. Jake Atlas. There we go. That's who it was. His name just fell out of my head. Okay, so remember to cut that massive pause out while you're Googling stuff with EBEZA in the editing. Note to self. So yeah, he debuted that move against Jake Atlas in the assault, and that was I really like that. And like I say, I think he hit it on Gargano in this match, but I'm not 100% on that. Anyway, I like that move. Then Champa hit an avalanche. I know it's the Celtic Cross that Sheamus does, but I'm sure Champa has a name for it that has just slipped my mind. I'm rubbish at move names, have you noticed, guys? And wrestler names, apparently. Just names. But yeah, Champa hit that on Gargano off, where he does that move, but off the middle rope, falling backwards. Most famously, he did it off the top of the cage in War Games to Adam Cole. Whichever year that was. But only off the middle rope instead of off the top of a cage. But then, as soon as they landed, Balor landed a coup de grace on Champa, who was obviously on his back because of how he'd fallen backwards with Johnny Gargano. This was right near the end. There was seconds left, like maybe 30 seconds, maybe less, I'm not sure. But again, still following the pattern where the last person to get a pin got pinned. I don't know if this was intentional, but it just ran through the entire match. So Champa got the last pin on Cole, and then 22 minutes later, Balor got the pin on Champa. Then, so you're like, oh, Balor's just won the match. And then you're like, hang on, but they did that last fall with a suspicious amount of time remaining, and it was going to go one way or the other. Adam Cole came back in. Finn Balor's on his knees after just scoring that pinfall, and Adam Cole hits the last shot on Balor, and then struggles to roll him over. And you're like, the clock's counting down, they're getting dangerously closer. Are they going to do it where he goes 1, 2, and then the bell rings because the time's up? Or are they going to do 1, 2, 3 bell rings? And they did the latter. So Adam Cole pinned Finn Balor with the last shot. I'd say, I've put in my notes 1 second left. I think it was with 0 seconds left. I think it was right on the death. The referee's count didn't seem suspiciously fast, but it was probably a little bit faster because it was pushing it. It was under 3 seconds left when the pin started. It just ticked under 3 seconds. So, yeah, you had to get that pin done quickly. So, the final score was Adam Cole 2, Finn Balor 2, and Tommaso and Ciampa. And Ciampa and Gargano 1 point each. So there was a draw, 60 minutes, and they do a draw and a cliffhanger. But some people were mad about that. I'm not mad about that, because next week we get Finn Balor versus Adam Cole to open the show for the vacant title that is still vacant. William Regal came out, and separated Balor and Ciampa, and said, right, this is what we're going to do. Fine, we'll settle it next week, you two. One fall to a finish kind of thing. So, basically, the entire Fatal 4-Way was pointless. They should have just picked Balor and Cole and done the match. But we wouldn't have had that excellent match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't feel like it dragged. It was an hour-long match, and I wasn't really ever sitting there thinking... The only time it dragged a little bit was when you realised how many ad breaks we were going through. That was the only time you were aware of... That's not it dragging, the ad breaks dragged. Some of them were picture-in-picture though, so it wasn't too bad. But, the only time I was sort of aware of how much time was passing was... Because they didn't have the clock on the screen the whole time, which I think is a good move. You have the clock on the screen the whole time, and people tend to end up watching it. So, yeah, good move by WWE there. But yeah, I would say that it didn't drag. The only time I was aware of time passing was counting ad breaks kind of thing. That was the only thing that made me aware of how long a match it was. So that's usually a sign of a good Iron Man match, when you're not sat there thinking, yep, it's definitely been an hour, So yeah, a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments what you thought. By the way, I sort of semi-predicted Champa to win. WWE 2K20, my match simulation. You should go and watch it, by the way. Really good match. Especially by WWE 2K standards of an AI simulation of a match. But actually, go and watch it now and cut off this video if you don't want it spoiling, because honestly, the ending is worth not having it spoiled. I know it's only a video game, but it's such a good ending. So I think I've waffled for long enough. Click off this video, go watch that one. You have my permission now, to end this video. We're just doing the outro. Link to EBEZAsimsgames is in the description. I'm going to talk about it. So I predicted Champa in that video to win, based solely on the fact that I wanted Champa to win. Not that I really firmly believed he was going to win. Funnily enough, I thought it was more likely going to be Cole or Balor. So I think that's who I said it was more likely to be. But my official prediction was Champa. I'm standing by it. I was wrong. That's fine. The game predicted Gargano, so the game was also wrong. It was equally wrong, in fact, in the essence that they both scored the same exact number of falls. They both lost by the same amount. So we were equal parts wrong. But it was a really good fun match. So even if you've stuck around and you know the result now, it's still worth watching. Obviously not about spoilers if you're still here, so I will tell you, it was almost as close as the real life match. Almost. The final fall was almost as close to the end as the real life match. I can't remember exactly what time, but it was less than 10 seconds on the clock. So yeah, that was really, really cool for an AI match like that to produce something like that. Anyway, leave a like, let me know in the comments what you thought of the show, and especially the main event. That's going to be the main talking point, let's be honest. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, share with your friends if you think they would enjoy. Also, check the description, as I already mentioned, for my other channels, my social media, and my Patreon, where you can support me for just $1 per calendar month, and that would be greatly appreciated. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Ebeza, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.